Hey cats, EDDBUD here. Some people call me the shoe cowboy. I'm back bringing you the hottest releases, this time with a running shoe from 2021. That's right, I've actually been into the future to get this one for you. Not sure how or why, but a viewer tipped me off about the availability of the Nike React Infinity Run FLYKNIT 2. It was available, it was there, so I got in there pronto. So these weigh in at 342 grams in my UK size 11. Works out about 12.1 ounces, so we're looking about 17 grams heavier than the initial version. But there are some tweaks to this version of the shoe that owners of the previous one will be very pleased to see. I'll tell you now, I believe this one to be true to size, so have Nike delivered on that often difficult sequel. Midsole and outsole are practically the same as the first version of the Infinity Run, so most of this review will be focusing on the upper of the shoe. So a vast change to the upper here with a knitted FLYKNIT. So around the front of the toe box here, there's a sort of more coarse kind of FLYKNIT, and then the similar very breathable FLYKNIT that we found on the first version. We see that knit continue through the eyelet section and round to the back of the heel of the shoe. I'd say it's still very breathable in the toe box area. That was always one of my favourite parts about the other shoe. Certainly you do feel the wind whistling through your toes. But I think it's the inclusion of those fly wires here that I was most pleased to see. Straight off the bat, these offer a far better lockdown than the original version. Those fly wires really do bring the material around your foot and create a much better lockdown. Sort of like a wrapping effect, I guess. Not like Run DMC or Schooly D, more like a Christmas present. Laces, nice and thick. And interestingly, they've included this little plastic piece here, basically the infinity symbol, which seems a given. You've got to include that considering the name of the shoe. You can even do a runner's knot now if you want to. Not all of the eyelets have fly wires here. The second and fourth sets of eyelets don't, but they're kind of ones which the laces loop underneath and back through. I'll show you a picture of it because I think that just makes it easier for you to understand. Alright, so first run today in these 8 miles, 12.9 kilometers in very windy conditions. Just reached about 3.5 miles. It's very windy out here. It's really tough even trying to keep tempo pace up. I literally cinched the laces up, tied them together, and I forgot about it. No issues with slipping, lockdown was superb, and a very comfortable upper to the extreme. Looks a bit Christmassy this shoe as well, doesn't it? I had lots of wiggle room in the toe box, even with a thicker sock today. No pressure points or areas of discomfort. The heel's vastly more built up than the first version of the Infinity Run. You've got a much more solid heel counter there, and it seems to span round just underneath the tail of the swoosh. I mean, you've got that plastic heel clip here that runs around the edge of the shoe as well, but I've got to be honest, I've never really noticed it on foot. Even that swoosh overlay here seems to be there to add some more structure to the upper. That additional support is clearly a bit of a theme within the Infinity Run line of shoes. The tongue's not completely free. It's sewn into the sides of the upper, round about the second to last flywire eyelet. It's nicely padded, and there's some thicker stitching down the middle of the tongue, which I think's there to provide a little relief from the pressure of the laces. So we have to say that the heel lock issue is finally solved here. Still a fitting upper, but a much more supportive one, and with only a few grams difference in terms of weight. Though I do have to say, this is still a narrow shoe. Those of you with a flatter arch may still find some problems with this one. If you have a high arch, no worries. So if that was the problem you had with the original version of the shoe, that's not gone away. But lockdown, 100% better. A big upgrade and lots of positives in pretty much every way. I'm going to give this a 2.8 out of 3 after my initial run, only reduced by the inclusion of that pointless pull tab at the back of the shoe and a slight increase in weight, which is never a good thing. Before we get to the next section of the review, if you haven't done so already, please hit that subscribe button and click the bell below for notifications of when we launch those new videos. Midsole now. Midsole here is a straight port from the original version of the Infinity Run. Nothing wrong with that though. It was pretty much top notch for me in terms of size, shape, and weight. A generous amount of react here in the midfoot. They've still gone a little bit overboard though in the heel. They could have chopped off a bit here. You don't need that much. Don't go all Hoka Clifton Edge on us, Nike. This makes for a really comfortable shoe for those longer, easier recovery type runs. Although I'd suggest you could probably do some tempo stuff in it. Kind of what I did today, really. I'd suggest that picking up the pace in these, though, will certainly test you a little bit. I mean, the shoe's certainly up there in terms of weight. Not really a shoe for racing or speed work, but a reliable shoe that's going to get you through those bread and butter miles. As I mentioned, the React is really loaded in the midfoot area and in the heel, and provides pretty much exactly the same type of response as implemented in the first version of the shoe. I'm still convinced that the stuff used here within this shoe is different to that used in the Zoomfly 3 or the Pegasus 37. Just felt so much tougher in those shoes, a bit like an overcooked steak. This is lighter and feels a little bit more responsive to me, a bit like a yummy piece of nougat. If you watch my Infinity Run 100-mile review, you'll know that the midsole was pretty much the same as when I first took it out of the box. So in mind of that, I'm going to give this one on my initial review a 2.8 out of 3 for the midsole. I'm just taking a couple of points off there for the excessive use of the React in the heel. I just don't need that much there. Could be great for you though. Outsole now. So it's pretty much still sludge city out there, and it makes for a good test for the outsole. It worked well for me today in the wet and blustery conditions. Leaves and mud, no issue for the outsole here, and we know from our experience in using the other version of the shoe that the outsole holds up well over time. Maybe it's the ridges and the troughs there that help the shoe deal with water, I don't know. It certainly felt like 2019 out there, like I was running in the first version again, but with a way better upper. But fortunately this time less ice. That was one area of the shoe that the outsole just didn't really like. Few complaints really surrounding the outsole. It's flexible enough, expansive, and offers some credible grip if you're going to use it on roads or gravel even. I'm not sure you'd want to run much of a distance on grass in this shoe. It's not really designed for that, but I think that's just for swamp and bog lovers only this time of year, certainly in England. No match really for the Adizero Pro outsole or the one that you find on the New Balance Fuel Cell RC Elite, but I think, as Bruce Forsyth would say, good game, good game. I'm going to give it a 2.7 out of 3 for outsole after my initial run, just a few points off for ice handling and grass grip. And I did find a few stowaways in the little gaps here in the outsole. Value now. So got to talk value, 139 earth credits for this one. Certainly a feast to the eyes of these fireside foot protectors. I think it's a mile eating shoe really. I think if it reminded me of some type of meal, it would probably have to be the old 96er. John Candy would be excited and very wide-eyed. This one's going to attack those daily miles for you in your running shoe rotation, and I think it will take you a long time to chew through. My calf muscles are already applauding and expectant for some miles over Christmas in this one. I think it will just about help me reach tempo paces and below to infinity and beyond. Well, into 2021 anyway. Did I mention that 2021 was going to be the best year ever? Watch this space. I'd suggest at retail, it's a little on the pricier side for a daily shoe. I might put a few people off. I'm going to ratchet the score down a little bit due to that and give a 2.4 out of 3 for value. Perhaps the lack of versatility is in my mind, and obviously it's quite a weighty shoe as well all round. If I've counted up the scores correctly, that gives us a Christmas tree light illuminating 10.7 out of 12 after my initial run in the Nike React Infinity Run FLYKNIT 2. A number of viewers commented that in the first version of the shoe they just couldn't get a good lock. That's solved here, so just mind those arches, okay? Solid shoe, solid score. A musical recommendation for you today. Christmas drawing ever closer. I've been listening to Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers' Christmas All Over Again. I love all the guitars in there. There's loads. It sounds like there's a 12-string acoustic, 6-string. Sounds like there's some Rickenbacker in there as well. Big, big drums and loads of harmonies too, which you'd come to expect really from a Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers tune. I think this one's featured in loads and loads of different films. I think it might be in Jingle All the Way with Arnie.
Put those cookies down.
I just love the wall of sound style that you've got here, full of Christmas spirit. I love the bit at the end as well. Tom Petty's chatting to, might be another band member or something, about how he wants a new Rickenbacker guitar for Christmas. It's good stuff. So do check that one out if you haven't done so already. Put it on your Christmas playlist. Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, Christmas All Over Again. Okay, it's about that time for me to mosey off into the snowstorm. Let me know your thoughts and comments on the Nike React Infinity Run FLYKNIT 2 down below. Thanks for watching through to the end, guys. If you haven't done so already, please hit that subscribe button and click the bell below for notifications of when we launch those new videos. And it really does help the channel out if you give this video a thumbs up, like, and share it with your running buddies. My name's EDDBUD, and I'll be seeing you. This is not fun. This is not fun at all.